Just, Catherine, first off now explain for us exactly where you are and what's happened with the efforts to push back that crowd from the Capitol.
Well, it wasn't too long after we were speaking, Joe, that police did choose to fire some tear gas and other types of irritants to move people on. And that happened fairly quickly, and we were sort of in the thick of it there for a while, where a line of police formed and they just, with the riot shields, pushed people back. There was chaos, there was a bit of violence and argy-bargy and yelling, but they have now managed to secure a perimeter around the Capitol grounds. And you can probably see behind me the line of police that are stationed here. They are facing off with, well, they're not, but there are protesters who are continuing to yell at them. And this is a sort of perimeter that we can see right around the Capitol grounds up into this barrier here. And I can see in the distance that there is also another line of police officers with riot shields also stationed further up towards the Capitol building. So as that curfew did come into place, we saw police take this action fairly rapidly to try and claim back the grounds here.
Yeah, that's a striking shot there, Catherine, with the symbol of democracy shining brightly behind you despite everything that's happened there today. And we've heard, one or two protesters there around you. There were tens of thousands of those people there earlier today. Have they basically dissipated now?
In large part, yes. I mean, earlier today, the grounds that you can see behind me, Joe, were completely filled up to the brim with people. Throughout the afternoon, they have been filtering out down Pennsylvania Avenue and through other parts of the Capitol, but we are still seeing those very passionate, ardent supporters of the president continue to stay out here. As you can see, this gentleman, this protester, is continuing to stay here tonight. There are still, a large number of people staying out on the streets and defying that curfew, but police, as I mentioned earlier, we're just being told to move on. So we'll just move over this way, away from the police officers. So, as mentioned earlier, Joe, there are so many different agencies of law enforcement out on the streets of DC tonight that I'm sure we're going to continue to see police filtering through and try and push those people out of the Capitol.
Yeah, and Catherine, you were in amongst that crowd for many hours. Just give us a sense of how passionately they feel about these unfounded allegations, and all reputable media organisations have reported extensively how unfounded they are. But these people still believe these allegations from Donald Trump, and that's principally why they were there today. They do believe the election was stolen from him.
Fundamentally, absolutely, without a doubt. I've spoken to I don't know how many supporters of the president who faithfully believe that the election was stolen. We're just being moved on. We're just going to move across the road, Joe. But yeah, fundamentally, yes, Joe.
Watch your back. Watch your back. Watch your back.
We're just going to move over this way. So yes, everyone that I've spoken to believes that the election was stolen. They can't believe that Joe Biden could possibly, I'm just going to help Dickon up here, could possibly have won the election and secured that many votes. I mean, I've asked all of them, where is the evidence? Can you provide the evidence? And they point you back to the same affidavits and allegations that were taken to courts on many different levels here in the United States, and most of which were thrown out by the court system as not being evidence of any sort of fraudulent activity. So the crux of it is, though, the people that are here are passionate supporters of the president, and they believe that they're out here because they are true patriots to the country.
Yeah. And Catherine, I might just read out a tweet that George W. Bush has just published, it's a bit small type there, but Laura and I are watching the scenes of mayhem unfolding at the seat of our nation's government in disbelief and dismay. It is a sickening and heartbreaking sight. This is how election results are disputed in a banana republic, not our democratic republic. The violent assault on our capital and disruption of a constitutionally mandated meeting of Congress was undertaken by people whose passions have been inflamed by falsehoods and false hopes. Insurrection could do grave damage to our nation and reputation. Catherine Nera, former Republican president, but so those challenges will continue for the Republicans with these passionate supporters of Donald Trump still believing that he was robbed of the election.
Sorry, I did try to catch some of what you were saying there, Joe, but we were just trying to move on to do what police are asking us to do here. But yes, I mean, what an unprecedented statement against the American Constitution and an electoral process that normally is carried out with next to no hitch. I mean, that's what we've seen here today. Yeah. I mean, these supporters of the president were called here because the president asked them to do that.
Catherine, Ellen Fanning
here. You need to stop this deal.
Yeah. Ellen Fanning here, thank you for your work today, for bringing us what's going on. Tell me, who are all these people milling around behind you? You're allowed to be there. The Mayor of DC says you're allowed to be there. You're with the press. Who are these other people?
The other people that are here on the ground are the protesters that have been here for hours. I mean, they aren't allowed to be here. The curfew has passed, but they are being pushed on, Ellen. So I'm not sure how much you can see. I mean, obviously it's dark here now, but just in the distance, that looks to me, I think from their uniform, that is the National Guard. I can't confirm that because I'm not up close enough and I'm not going to go any closer. But the National Guard is now out and you can see them forming this line as they try to push people on. But essentially, the people that are on the streets now are not meant to be here. That is illegal. Okay,
and so we are 19 minutes into the curfew. Have you seen anyone arrested?
No, we haven't at this point in time. We have seen some argy-bargy between police officers and some of the protesters, particularly as they were pushed down the lawn in front of the Capitol building a short time ago. But we haven't seen anyone arrested. We're now hearing police talking through a loudspeaker, asking people to move on, and you can see that they're now starting to take off there. Dickon's just going to bring you the live shot there. So they are starting to disperse and starting to push back. But, I mean, the most that we've seen today that I have witnessed has been confrontations between police and protesters. At one point, we saw a protester being hit with batons, and that didn't really do a great deal to calm the crowd. It just made them even more angry.
And, Catherine, I can see the Trump flags flying there, and we saw those flags along with the flags of the Confederacy inside the Capitol building earlier today. Look at those protesters there. There's a young child there, maybe a teenager.
We've seen children younger than that here today, just a little while ago, maybe half an hour ago. Now, there's all walks of life here today. People have come from all different parts of the country.
Extraordinary. The House Majority Whip, Clybourne, has said that he won't be discouraged in the joint sitting. He wants it to resume tonight to formally certify the election of Joe Biden. Now, that's why those protesters are here, to protest that process of recognising and formalising that election victory.
And thank you for helping your cameraman over that chain.
Yes. Catherine, will they be able to get back into the capital?
Let's go, this way, this way. Come on.
Where?
This way.
Look, I think given that we've seen them secure the perimeter and they're moving them on fairly quickly here, Alan. I mean, they have managed to secure the grounds within, I would say, no longer than 30 minutes. So I guess so. I mean, that's what they're doing this for.
Who are those police behind you?
That
Catherine, who are those police behind you? Tell me. Who are they?
there are, so we're looking at Metropolitan Police here. So that looks like that's probably DC police, but they're also over here. That looks like the National Guard, just based on the uniform that I'm looking at here. But it is dark, so I don't want to make that a true claim. But there are multiple different agencies and law enforcement agencies from city, state, and also federal law enforcement. Also, troops were deployed from, not troops, but reinforcements were deployed from Maryland, which is a neighbouring state, and I also believe that they were also being sent from Virginia.
And Catherine, just while that's just a bit of an aside, but I noticed that this is all happening in the midst of this pandemic there in the US with, I think it's like 3,500 people dying in 24 hours there and recently. And there was a speaker at the rally yesterday who was encouraging people to hug each other and create a super spreader event. As someone yourself who's caught COVID and dealt with COVID, how have you felt about what was said at that rally and what you've seen over the last 24 hours, considering the devastation that is happening right now there in the US just with the pandemic?
Look, it's extraordinary. I mean, that's I know the video you're talking about, and the speaker at that event who encouraged people to hug each other. I mean, it's just extraordinary. I mean, we were just in Georgia covering the runoffs where we attended another Trump rally the day before yesterday, and not many people were wearing masks. I've been approached by I don't know how many people here even today and at other rallies and in recent weeks about why I wear a mask. And then they try to claim that they're not trying to kill me by not wearing one. But that's the sort of mentality that we are seeing here on the ground among people that support the president.
Catherine,
and as someone that obviously has
Sorry to interrupt. Look, you know, the concern is tonight and has been that those protesters, Trump supporters, might face on the streets of DC anti-Trump forces. Now, tell me what is the mood there? As you were talking to Joe just before, we saw what looked to be a distressed elderly lady being shepherded by her, looked like teenage granddaughter or someone. What is the mood of that mob tonight on the streets? Have they calmed?
Do you mean mob, as in a counter-protester?
Well, what is your feeling on the streets? It looks to me like they're following police instructions, and that fervent mood, that blood-boiling mood of the folks who are in the Capitol, that is dispersed somewhat tonight. Is that the feeling that you're getting standing among them?
Yeah, like I said before, I feel like a lot of the heat that we saw take place inside the Capitol has somewhat dispersed. But there is still a great deal of anger here. And they're here for a reason, and they're staying here beyond curfew. And I think that gives you a bit of an idea as to how they're feeling and what the sort of mood is here on the ground. I mean, they're moving back, but they're being forced to move back. I mean, there's not really anything they can do or anywhere that they can go. I mean, the ones that we have left are definitely the ones that are more passionate and more angry. I don't think we'll see the counter-protest movement that we have seen at previous rallies. I just can't imagine it, given the sheer number of people that we've seen here on the ground. And I mean, some of the Trump supporters were telling me earlier that it was Antifa that was inside the Capitol building. It was Antifa that smashed the windows. But there really isn't any sort of evidence to suggest that. And just for context, Antifa is a rival group, if you like, to some of the extremist groups on the right that support the president, and Antifa's on the left, as probably the best way to describe them.
Okay, we'll have to leave it there for the moment, Catherine, but thanks so much for your reporting and negotiating your way there back as the security forces pushed you back there along with your cameraman.
Stay safe, Catherine.